Hey everyone, here we are live. Where are we live? Facebook, my LinkedIn, YouTube, and would you believe it? It's a year since we started doing these live lunch episodes. So a year ago, we decided, as we all went remote, that people couldn't come into the office anymore. They couldn't hang out with us the way that they used to. We weren't seeing people at events. We'd start doing this live stream where we get together once a week and basically just talk crap for an hour, really. We were talking. Well, we would get together and we would talk about what was new in social media, what we've been working on that week, and all of that sort of stuff. And then we got a bit bored of each other's company, so we started bringing in guests. And I'm really, really pleased to say that we have the fantastic Hannah and Richard from Dallas Wylde Recruitment with us today. So hi, guys.
Hi. Hey, if you knew I was going to talk crap, I'd have brought beer with me.
It is lunchtime.
It's lunchtime before a bank holiday as well, so
I'm much better at talking crap when I've got a point.
Honestly, so just before we went live, we were talking about bloopers, and I think forget the bloopers, forget the stuff that ends up on the editing room floor. When you're doing stuff live, it's all out there. And some of the things that I've said in the past year, it's like in hindsight, we probably should have kept a record to go back and edit and create Christina's best moments. But there we go. So Hannah, give us the elevator pitch, because obviously we know you guys really well, but not everyone in our audience does. So give us the intro.
Oh, intro. So we are a new homes recruitment business, so specialists within new homes and construction. That's very much my background, my network. Rich, I pulled him into the dark world of recruitment a couple of years ago from the corporate world, so he's been on the other side of the fence. Yeah, we've been going just over 2 years now. Have been on quite an incredible journey now. When I think back, when Richard and I started the business, it was always very much in our plan, I think, initially to be a lifestyle business, something for us to kind of manage with the 4 kids that we've got, blended family, all nice. But yeah, progressively, I don't know how, we've now, I think, we're a team of 10 now as of this week, which is madness for me to even say that out loud, because I guess it wasn't the initial vision, but that's where we are now, and it's great, and yeah, we are national business that covers new home sector. So in a nutshell, that's our journey.
Yeah, I mean, there's been massive change. We started working with you, I think the business was about 6 months old at that point. And I think about what we're doing with you now versus back then is pretty crazy. But obviously your main point of contact in the business is Amanda. So it's kind of every now and then I just drop you an email just to make sure that I am still here and I do still love you, but Amanda's just sort of run with the account, and we've done some really cool stuff and got you doing things that you weren't perhaps as comfortable with or as willing to do as you are now. So yeah, Amanda, it's been really cool working with these guys, right?
Oh, totally. So you've kind of trusted me with with some of the ideas and with some of your LinkedIn profiles, and we'll put stuff out there sometimes. And I know, Rich, in particular, you're kind of like, I'm not sure I would generally say that, but we do a mixture of sort of news that's specific to your industry. So whether that's recruitment or construction, house building. And then stuff about leadership as well, and it just really helps build your presence. And it's great because Hannah and as you said, you started with kind of a lifestyle business in mind, but you've always got ideas and you're always thinking about what's the next 3 months, 6 months, year got ahead. So we have our planning meetings. So yeah, it's, you know, from a marketing point of view, it's a dream to work with. Put it this way, I'm technically on a day off today. I wouldn't give that up for anyone.
Very good.
Hence why I did a bit of a handbrake turn into live lunch just before we went live. So apologies for that.
So one of the things that, and why it felt like a good thing to bring you on to this particular episode as well, one of the things that you sort of started to do, I guess this time last year, started to do more of was the video content.
Yeah.
And kind of getting comfortable in front of the camera and that sort of stuff. And traditionally, recruiters they're not very willing, and they will give us every excuse in the book to avoid being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And when we started doing these live lunches, Emily and Jane particularly were like, really? You want us to go off the camera? Are you sure? Like, can't we just stay behind in the background, just do the background stuff? So I think it's quite interesting, that kind of like getting from that situation where you're like, oh my god, it's a camera, to actually it's just another thing we have to do. Is quite a journey.
What's quite interesting for me when I started doing video is that how hard I found it, and I wasn't expecting to, and I was probably a little bit complacent about it initially because I'm used to standing up in front of people, you know, quite comfortable doing that, and so I thought, well, video is going to be easy, you know, because I'm not even actually got anyone to talk to, and actually it was completely the opposite because I had no one to talk to. It just totally threw me, and yeah, I did find it really difficult, and then Hannah just picked it up like that, and she's much better than I am now.
It's when the kids walk in and go, what are you doing? I think even they're quite used to it now.
Well, I think we both just really kind of it's like anything in it. If you commit yourself to it, and you put the work in, and you kind of and put the time in, yeah, you obviously improve and you get more confident, and now we'll do it quite comfortably, really. I mean, yeah, we'll still have to do a number of takes, but it's ironically the video that we did last week, we actually went with the first take, even though we did about 10 after. So yeah, no, it's been a enjoyable sort of process, and video, we knew video, how important it was, and through kind of, you know, through the obvious kind of channels that you see and people doing it yourself, but then just through the research as well that's out there talking about how important video is, and how it can really kind of promote your brand and your business and your proposition and what you're doing. So yeah, it was important that we kind of we made that step, because like a lot of your clients, we did put it off a little bit. And
I think your initial reaction is, oh, cheesy. Mine, you know, I was like, oh, video, cheesy, you know. But at the same time, given what we've gone through over the past 12 months, and, you know, just like you said there, Christina, about introducing these lunches and interact, it was all about video during that time, wasn't it? And I think seeing Richard and I, you know, blabbering on about what we're doing in lockdown haircuts and all, you know, it kind of brings an element of realism, you know, that people seeing us and personality, and yeah, not just stuck behind a photograph on LinkedIn, I guess.
I think it's I was going to say, Christine, I think it's interesting what you said, Richard, about it being difficult for you in front of the camera, even though you were so used to speaking to a massive audience, because there are differences there. I feel a lot more comfortable now doing things like this, but there's my computer in front of me. There isn't a camera, but I still genuinely think if Christina came over to me like she tries to do the first time and shoved the camera in my face, I would just freak out. I wouldn't know what to do. But I think there's definitely differences, 100%. And I think, yeah, even now, I think, Christina, warning, if you shove another camera in my face, I'm just going to freeze.
I think it's you know what Hannah said there as well. It's like these videos, it helps to build community around your brand. It helps people kind of, you know, feel like they're part of something, feel like they're part of the journey. You know, before we went live today, Rich and Hannah joined the call, and they were like, okay, so Jane and Emily, what do you do then? Because although you've been clients for a while, because Jane and Emily tend to be more in the background of things, you end up not meeting the people that actually make the business run. And so doing things like this just really allows you to give people that window into the business, and allow all the characters to come through, and it lets people see like actually what the dynamics are behind the business, and it's I think it's a really good thing to be doing.
We give Amanda too much credit.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I see now. Doesn't make me think how great she was. Yeah, she's taking all the glory.
I think she's just talking generally.
I thought you did everything, Amanda. I thought you were like this. Oh my God, an amazing person that just like. I'll get it now. Sorry.
So through lockdown, obviously, you know, this time last year we were all kind of like going merrily along, and then we get that announcement and the world tips upside down, and some people just stopped dead marketing wise, and we, you know, you sent us a beautiful email just kind of saying like, you know, you put your trust in us, you kept it going, and just sort of, you know, we will give Amanda the credit, but basically kind of, you know, because of the sort of the guiding hand, if you like, it's sort of paid dividends. And it's really easy for us to take, you know, the credit and go, yeah. But at the end of the day, it's your face that you've been prepared to put sort of, you know, forward in the brand. When we talked about email marketing, you're like, oh, I'm not sure. And we've had the conversations, and it's like, well, you know, let's try it, let's go for it. That's you, that's not us. We're just a toolkit at the end of the day. But I think, you know, in your case, keeping that the continuity of the marketing. When I look at your business and I see the growth that you've had, if I went back to sort of Christmas time, the growth you'd had by the end of last year was already pretty impressive, wasn't it? You'd kind of sort of grown substantially at that point.
Yeah, sort of from September onwards, really. We really started to kick in, yeah, for sure. And then it's just continued, you know, from strength to strength. Obviously helped by the fact that we've got some great people on board as well, and obviously we more recently bought a business, which is which is obviously making a big difference.
Never would have thought that this time last year.
No.
You have literally grabbed every opportunity to come your way, and I think a lot of people, you know, as Christina says, maybe at this time last year had kind of gone, right, no, we'll stop marketing. We kind of have to really batten down the hatches. Whereas you guys have kind of gone, well, no, our industry, yes, it quietened down, but it is still going. We know people might need more temps than they would need perm or executive search. So you've kind of, you know, we kind of banned the P word, but you pivoted slightly to you just adapted your business. And literally every opportunity that's come your way, you've gone, right, we'll go with that, which I think, maybe some people who are a bit more nervous or risk averse wouldn't have done, but it's really paid dividends. So for all the good marketing we're doing, it's great that you're kind of wanting to run with everything, and you've got that eye on growth.
Yeah, I think that's one thing Rich and I aren't, risk averse. we're both the same in that respect. Usually there's one that will be a bit more, but I just go, if you think so, let's go with it. So I guess in that sense, we do grab everything and just run with it.
I think I've always been, since I had an experience, I think I've shared this with you, but I lost my job going back a few years ago, and I worked with a really great lady who supported me through that process, and actually was paid for by the company that I work for. And that's the kind of what I learned so many things from that experience. But one of them was that you know, when you go through difficult times or something happens that's out of your control, you know, really important to have, you know, have a plan, have a purpose, make sure that when you get up in the morning, you know, you've got a plan of what you're going to achieve. And so and that really kind of helped me through that really difficult period. And so when this happened, you know, the first thing I said to Hannah is, right, you know, this business is stopped, everything's shut down, but we're not going to stop. We're going to continue to find ways of keeping ourselves busy, be productive, and so to make sure that we look back and we go, actually, do you know what? It's been a difficult, however long it was, we didn't know at the time, but we've achieved this, this, and this. And obviously that was how it all linked into you guys, and obviously you supporting us with all those kind of initiatives and video content and keeping the marketing going and the daily activity, which obviously led into us kind of growing and then obviously building, expanding the team, not just organically, but by obviously bolting other bits on. So that's kind of, you know, that was very much our mindset, and right from the start, wasn't it? And I think that's just continued. And yeah, and I think I'm kind of a big believer in life that, I don't know, I suppose we feel a bit lucky in a sense of the people that we've got now and what we've gained. But actually, I think I'm all firm believer you create your own luck a little bit as well. You know, if you stay positive and stay focused and stay busy and surround yourself with people, you know, like-minded people, then good things will happen. And I think I do believe that, and I think that's been a big part of it as well. Sorry,
Get the tissue.
Yeah, so, you know, it's been great. I think it's been great to be able to share all of this kind of journey with you guys, and you know, you've been an integral part of it, which is great. You know, every day, every week, you know, with Amanda, it's been fab. No, really, really good, and valued every minute of it.
I find some of my posts really interesting. When I read them, I'm like, oh, well done, Hannah. Yeah.
Brilliant. I love it. Sometimes I have to give a bit of a heads up, but you know, to anyone watching, because we work with obviously the wider team now, because it was initially just you guys, but we work with the wider team. So I will chat to sort of Becky and Rob and the consultants that work with you and find out kind of outside of, you know, obviously I know what they work on, I know what they do day in, day out, you know, focus on temp or which region, which sector, but like their hobbies and interests outside of that, because, you know, I want people to get to know them. And certainly, you know, perhaps maybe for I'm thinking Becky in particular, she's a younger member of your team. Some people have, I heard a cool term the other day, they have FOP, fear of posting, because they're a bit shy about posting, because they don't want to be, you know, and they don't want to be kind of have someone go, oh, you know, look at them, they've said something really, really silly. So having someone else do the posting for you just helps get over that, move from it. So yeah, we were talking about our hobbies and interests, and she's really into interior design and refurbing and renovation, which really ties in really well with what you do in an industry, because it's home renovating and home buying. So yeah, just allow more personal stuff out for her, and she can engage with that, and you know, she does all the comments and interaction afterwards. So it's just you know, somebody like us just getting the ball rolling. Literally, we just give her a little nudge and then kind of go, right, over to you.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
No, it's great. No, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's working brilliantly for us, and you know, and going back to, you know, those more personal tweaks to the post, like people like to see that, don't they? That, you know, we talked for a few weeks about our renovation project, and we thought, is it worth putting a bit of a reel together to put on LinkedIn? It's a personal project to us, but actually that's had so much engagement. I think, more than I thought it would, you know, and it's because it's something personal about us, and not necessarily business related.
It's definitely always the personal content that really allows people to buy into you and buy into your business, and I think that a lot of people kind of disregard that. You see a lot of content around that's saying, you know, okay, LinkedIn, it's too much like Facebook now, it's too much like Instagram. And it's like, actually, yeah, if you put a post out there that's got 20 hashtags on it, it's too much like Instagram. But that more personal content that allows us to know you on a different level, that's the stuff that works. That's the stuff that gets people interested, so that they then want to talk to you about the service that you've got to sell. Have you had challenges in terms of sort of your team building, getting people on board with that? Because obviously you guys have been sort of really happy to engage in that type of content.
What, in terms of actually getting them involved in actually creating content and posting themselves?
Yeah, and doing the more personal
stuff. Rob's really good at it. He actually always asks us, he said, I've got this personal post, whether it's his anniversary with his partner or something, and he always checks in and says, is that okay? And I was like, he puts lots of personal tweaks out. I part of the plan that I'd like to start seeing them do maybe is advertising their jobs by video, the vacancies that they're working on, and maybe that's the next level that I'd like to maybe see them go to. But yeah, it's hard when not everyone's comfortable doing things like that, and it does take practice, repetition, and just doing it. But I just think it's another nice way to advertise stuff you're working on, rather than just a post with your job and your location and your salary that to introduce the role and maybe even talk about the client in video, I think would be something that we'd like to see them do eventually next week.
No pressure, guys, but come on, next week.
You'll have to give them some of your tips about how you got comfortable in front of the camera and see if they can take them on board.
I started to think that Rich and I were starting to sound like Kirsty and Phil, like, the TV present, the Kirsty and Phil recruitment world, because we were like bouncing off one another, like presenting, and it did, it started to sound a bit like we were.
You don't know. TV stardom awaits.
Yeah. You never know.
We were there with a piece of paper stuck to the tripod and then watching it back and going, nah, we look like we're reading.
Yeah, it doesn't work with the script. That's one piece of advice I can give you.
Yeah, don't script it.
It doesn't work with the script. We tried that several times. We just said, right, let's go with the script.
I think that's something that I learned, to be honest, because I'm very much if I have a presentation or something like that, I like to know exactly what I'm going to say, when I'm going to say it, what I'm going to be talking about. So the first time Christina did sort of get me to record something, she was trying to get sort of that natural element behind it, that sort of, it doesn't look forced, but I really couldn't do it. And I was like, I need something to read from. So we sort of recorded both. We recorded one where I was reading and one where I wasn't. And although I felt so uncomfortable in the one where I didn't have the piece of paper, actually, looking back, that one was much more natural, and it is the one that people warm to over than me sort of statically reading my points or something like that. But it's interesting just getting over that first hurdle, I think, and realizing that it is sort of that vulnerability that people like, but it's scary. It's scary, but it's worth it.
I almost find live is better. Personally,
really
it goes wrong, but everyone expects it to go wrong, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and if you've said something silly, you've said something silly. End of.
You can't go back.
Yeah,
that's true.
What's your video software and subtitle? What do you use basically? So
good question. Yeah, it's called Vimeo, I think. Is that right? Does that ring any bells? Viva Video.
Yeah, because we often talk about the platforms that we use in-house here, but I think it's interesting to see what everybody else uses and how effective they find it. So does that include subtitling?
Yeah, I have to type it all. Yeah, so every time we do one, I say to Rich, do we really need to put the subtitles on? He's like, yes, 'cause not everyone has sound. No one's working from home. They can listen to it freely. They're not in the office. It still makes me do it, and it is a time-consuming job. But yeah, I get it. It does work.
Yeah, you're right. Not most videos are watched. I can't remember the stats. I'm letting down my data Davis, but I'm sure it's something like 80 or 90% of videos are watched without sound because you're just scrolling through generally. People will read the the first part of it as well, and that makes them decide whether they'll stay and watch the whole video. So particularly the one you did recently where you acquired the new business, I think people kind of saw that great news and you were straight in with it, which means people were like, wow, and what a great time for doing it, and you got probably more engagement than if you'd done a big lead up to that big announcement. People might have just kind of scrolled on by. So straight in, here's the news.
So I guess that is one thing we have learned along this video journey process. We think back to some of the ones we did before, which went on and on and on, and that's my fault because I'm a and one thing I've had to fine tune is just get your point out quicker.
Well, it's that there's a process, isn't there? There's actually a process, which we learned. So yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, I think that announcement was 30 seconds, 40 seconds, which is really all they need to be, these videos. Otherwise you lose people, like you say.
It's like video strategy now is very much about you produce a video and then actually you cut it into smaller bits. And it's, things like this, it's, generally we're about 45 minutes to an hour long. It's at the same time every week. It's described as episodic content. People know that they can come back every week and the next installment's going to be there. Bit like, watching your soaps in the 80s, there was no Netflixing or anything like that. You just had to wait a week for the next thing that was going to happen. And actually that type of content really ticks boxes in terms of algorithms and that sort of stuff on social, but you kind of treat that as the main event now. And if you can do like if you're doing something that's, I'd say 20 minutes or longer, and you can do a 3-minute version, and you can do a 30-second version, even a 15-second version. Now, if you're using Instagram, you have a 15-second version that can go into your stories, that sort of stuff. And it all kind of leads you back to that main event. But this is kind of the way video's going, but it's our attention spans as well. The best structure for a video is within the first 10 seconds, tell them exactly what it is you're going to be talking about. And it's like, actually, if that's important enough to them, they are going to watch all the detail after that. But it's, even though I'm the same, I don't have a script. I'm like bits of paper blue tacked right next to the camera and bullet points that only have like 3 words max per bullet point because I can't read and talk. It's it's like I just need to have those words in sight to keep me on track. But the whole structure of video, the structure of social video is very much changing. And I think that a lot of people are still they're still in that mindset of we need to do video, and they're not thinking about how the structure is adjusted. So it's quite an interesting thing that you've said there, Hannah, in terms of the sort of the improvements that you're feeling in your video content and the response you're getting.
No, absolutely. No, and what? One thing at LinkedIn, you were just saying about Instagram stories there and the shorter. LinkedIn have introduced stories now, haven't they? Which I haven't really followed. I mean, do you use that? I mean, what is it?
They're a bit miss. People are not really getting on board with them yet. The thing with LinkedIn is that this stuff's always slow to be brought into the platform. It's then slow to roll out. It's then slow to be adopted. Always say LinkedIn's like a dinosaur. If you stamp on its tail, it takes about 2 weeks for the message to get to the brain. So it's one of those things. But I think I just feel like the way people engage with content on LinkedIn is so different to every other platform.
Right.
You know, it's we've still got to make everything short and bite size, but it's just we all chew a bit slower on LinkedIn. It's probably the thing. You know, Instagram, we're like gulping it down and can't get through the content quick enough. On LinkedIn, I think that even though we need to make that content still really impactful in as short period as possible, people do kind of just savor it more and sort of dig into it a little bit more when it is of interest to them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Christina got some funny feedback.
Oh, is she frozen?
She's gone.
It's hard to tell sometimes. You think, is someone frozen or have they just paused?
I've got all sorts. I've got feedback. I've got some people freezing and not others. It's like, yeah. And then there was just that silence, and I thought, I don't think I've said anything wrong there. Didn't swear.
Didn't swear. No, that's okay. You have to put a
Didn't make any innuendos. Didn't bring up any inappropriate subjects for a Thursday lunchtime. I'm like,
not
yeah,
so sad.
Well, just I'm at my sister's farm today.
Oh,
So I'm seeing them for the first time since last year sometime. So we are socially distanced. I'm a bit naughty. I have come inside a little caravan she's got up here just so I can have privacy to do the lunch. But she's got like a 2G Wi-Fi booster. So I was really like, oh God, is there going to be enough signal? So I thought it was going to be me that would have the problems today. So yeah, so I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by cows and newborn calves. So it's a change of pace, definitely, from normal green umbrella stuff. That's for sure.
Sounds nice.
I was thinking the other day, just going back to we're talking about beginning of lockdown again. Do you remember we had that in the diary? Was it an event that we were coming to with you? You'd invited us to?
Yes. Yeah, it was a rugby event.
That's it. Yeah.
End of March.
And it was that kind of will it, won't it, will it, won't it, and then one of the many things got.
And it's been postponed and postponed and postponed. So who knows? Who knows what will happen? But there's probably so many events. I mean, talking of, you guys were quite fortunate in a way. Your industry slowed down a bit and stopped for a while, I guess. But then construction came back. But events of hospitality. That's a tough.
I know.
Isn't it?
We were literally saying the other day, I think we were watching the news or something depressing like that, and just thinking, imagine if we were working in recruiting in any other sector right now, like the likes of hospitality, retail, or we are fortunate that we're in the sector that we are, that hasn't houses need building, construction's not going to stop. We're really fortunate that we're in the right sector. We're very thankful for that.
Well, the housing market generally is huge, isn't it, at the minute? So, and I was reading something, it's nearly back up to the peak of 2007, apparently. So, that is definitely the best industry to be in, isn't it? So,
it's become really well. And how are most of your clients kind of back on track, sort of coming back, or are they kind of coming back slowly, depending on which sector they're in?
It's very sector specific. I would say that if I think back to the beginning of January, you could really feel the shift in the market. So about 70% of our client base are independent recruiters, most of which are in sort of, serving a niche sector.
Yeah.
We could feel the difference literally from that first day back in January.
Okay.
However, the last 6 weeks is where it's gone really, really crazy. And the conversation of the last 6 weeks is very much about, we're in a candidate-starved market right now.
Yeah.
And I think that, people have this mindset of, I don't need a recruiter because there's going to be loads of people out there because of the number of businesses that have cut, made redundancies, etc., etc. It's I can spend a couple of £100 to get a vacancy on Indeed, and well, why do I need to pay a recruiter fee? And they don't think about the volume of if I say inappropriate candidates, or the kind of the CVs that come through that don't reflect the skills that are required for the role. Just write the time it takes to write decent job description, decent job advert. The knowledge that those are two separate things. It's there's all this cost before you've even interviewed someone, and I think they don't think about that, and they don't realise that sometimes what you see in the news and the assumptions that you have are not reflective of the truth. That it's not reflective of the reality. So I think right now, for me, recruitment is a real indicator of what's going to happen economy-wise, because it tends to be one of those industries that bounces back quickest after recession, as an example. So for me, I'm really excited. And I think because we serve recruiters, we've got a really good couple of years ahead of us. Probably scarily good, if I'm really honest. We need to look at our infrastructure and make sure we can keep up with things and all that sort of stuff. But like I say, looking at people right now and looking at how recruiters are trying to attract the right talent, the right candidates, it just feels like we're back to, if I think 2018, 2019, and when things were like, all of our clients were doing really well, massive growth and all that kind of stuff. It feels like we're back there.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah.
I was going to say, how's it sounding in comparison to sort of your business and the recruiters that you speak to? Because I know you talk to quite a few of your peers as well, don't you?
Yeah, we do. But primarily our contacts within recruitment have fared quite well, haven't they? Been in not necessarily exactly the same sector as us, but in similar. We've got one that we work with or know quite well is in supply chain, and then we've got a good friend of ours who works in who's got a good temps and labour business, primarily through manufacturing. So yeah, whilst everyone had that kind of difficult period, during the summer last year, people that we know certainly have seemed to fare quite well from sort of September onwards. So it's quite similar, really, isn't it? Quite similar. And now we're kind of, I guess, as I say, the construction sector is doing really well. New build sector in particular, within the construction sector, is kind of leading the way. And and most, if not all, house builders are, reporting a great pipeline. Order book is really strong, and year on year, we're building more houses and selling more houses. So yeah, it's looking really encouraging. So may it continue.
I guess the interesting way of the times as well is that we've made several placements over the past I don't know, about 12 months now. Yeah, we've still been actively recruiting and placing lots of candidates into roles, some of which haven't even met their colleagues or line managers. Everything's been virtual. So this is the other new way of the world, isn't it? The interviews, primarily have been via Teams or Zoom or, the like. So we're now having to adapt and teach candidates how to interview prep for an online meeting. Gone with the firm handshake and the posture in your body language, all that kind of interview prep. It's teaching candidates how to interview via online. But yes, candidates that I touch base with now that have been in their jobs a few months still haven't been able to meet their colleagues and hiring managers in the flesh. It will happen, we know it will, but it's just interesting, you never would have thought that that'd be possible, but we've all learnt to adapt and keep on hiring, keep on recruiting. That's not stopped, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything that is kind of, I guess, innovative in terms of sort of people's like that virtual onboarding of people into their businesses?
Well, yeah, we've created a candidate pack, which is now online on our system, where normally when you'd register a temp candidate,
it was very manual,
manual paperwork. You meet the candidate, get them all registered on, but now we've got it on our website embedded, where we'll send a link to our temp candidates now for them to fill out this onboarding manual book, which is then electronically stored within our system, our database. So I guess that's quite innovative for us. We got someone to do that for us. What are they called? What's it?
It's local business that kind of specialise in web design, and it was just really Hannah's right, it was really clever, and it looks really professional, which is really important. And we don't have to do anything.
They can do it on their mobile, tablet,
literally, all we have to do is email them a password and a login and password, and send them a link.
Or initially we were sending out this big pack in the post. I mean, we only did it a couple of times until we thought, nah, this wouldn't work. But yeah.
So that kind of ticks lots of boxes, because you have it's more efficient. But it's more environmentally friendly as well, isn't it? Let's think about it. Reams of paper and printing stuff off and all the rest of it. It's kind of, it's faster, it's more efficient, it's better for the environment. So tick, tick, tick.
Yeah. And the other thing, we're meeting probably more candidates now, because you can do it at the click of a button. Meeting candidate is very important. It needs to happen to represent your candidates properly. And for you to confidently say to your client, I've met Sue, she's this happening, before jumping in a car or getting them to come to the office. You could probably get 3 or 4 meetings in a day, real good solid. Whereas now, having the online way of doing things, I know Anne, for example, our consultant, she's fully back-to-back booked out today with candidate meetings. Literally, she didn't have, I think she had an hour slot at 12 o'clock. And it's great because she is, in the thick of all these fantastic candidates and help, and I think it's brilliant, this new way. And clients as well, meeting clients equally.
I think it's really, I suppose the only flip of that, and it was a question I got asked yesterday by a client, which is linked to this, is he asked me whether or not we're meeting candidates yet, as in person, and it kind of threw me a little bit, because he kind of almost kind of gave me the feeling that actually he was expecting us to, almost like. And so I said, we haven't, but obviously because the circumstances don't allow you, because you can't even meet and have a coffee in a coffee shop or a hotel. But I said that's certainly something we would look to reintroduce into the business further down the line. But then I'm thinking, actually, will we? I don't know. But I don't know. I think it was interesting that he sort of posed that question to me, almost with the expectation that possibly you should. And maybe I've interpreted that wrong, but.
I mean, we did have I did have a client who virtually met a candidate last week, really liked them, but she was still in that mindset. I still just want to meet them properly, I want to, and they did schedule a meeting at a service station in the Bucks area. I won't say where, but and they could actually go in. They met outside. They could go in. They got a coffee, and you could actually sit socially distanced and take your mat. And they said to me, it's worth noting, if anyone else does want to meet up, you actually can.
Service station.
So first interview I've arranged. Well, no, it's not actually. Service stations are quite the norm. It's not the first one.
Are you looking at how you're operating now and thinking that there are there things that you're like, I can't wait to get back to normal so I don't have to operate in that way anymore? Or are there any tasks that you've had to take online that you just think, like, I never want to do that online again, I want to do that face to face?
I think client meetings are important. Having now just acquired this business in the Southwest, the these are clients unknown to us. We love going to the Southwest, so we are going to try and tie a bit of a road trip. But yeah, I think that will be important, going to see clients. I think when you're taking a client brief for a role, or you know the client anyway, a Teams meeting is just fine. But I think for new relationships and building that, I think face to face is important, and will definitely come back for us. We were in London 3 times a week at one point, doing client meetings, weren't we, all before lockdown, and mad to think how much travelling we were doing. But
it's quite nice to have time back in the day, isn't it, to not have to do all those meetings. But yes, I know, and there's a part, I think, even we've all said as a team, as much as we kind of feel efficient and we're working from home, there are just times you really crave some other human interaction. And I'm sure you guys live in a very happy home, but there must be times when you've gone like, I am just sick of the sight of you.
Well, interestingly, some news from our side, we've just signed up to an office, probably the only people in the country at the moment that have doing that. But we work from the same room for the past 2 years, and because thankfully business has just gone to that next level, we're both on the phone constantly. So Rich is currently in the dining room, I'm still in the office. So we've just signed up to a 12-month let in Worcester Centre for us, with 2 separate offices, and we're going to put a couple of hot desks in there for the team members, if not having the expectation that they need to come into the office at all, but if they want to, we're right by the train station, so they can hop on the train, come and have the day with us, and they've already said, actually, we'd really like that. Given they joined us in September, we've probably met them 5 times, if that. So I think they're looking forward to just having that team vibe and being together. Working from home is great, and I think if you can have that balance of the two,
definitely.
I can't wait. I can't wait for these guys to get back into the office and for a story together. I honestly think that there are things where you finish your job, you finish your task, and you think, oh, do you know what? That would have taken me 3 times as long, because there would have been interruptions and all that sort of stuff. But I think sometimes it's almost a false sufficiency as well. There are things that, I was talking to Jane about this earlier today, and Emily and Jane and I were on a call yesterday, and something similar came up. When we're all in a room together, if something happens, if I'm on a call to a client and I say something, then Jane will be like, did I just hear you say this? And she's immediately got that communication.
Yes.
And it's those things, whereas something happens and you need the answer, and it's like, well, actually, because of what it is, it's not something that's a quick message on Slack or an email, but when we have our catch-up calls a couple of times a week, it gets brought up then. But because it's not in the moment, moved on, and you've got to restart that task again once you've got the answer. And I think that although we might feel like we're getting more done, I don't think we actually are. I don't think that, like I said, I think it's like a false efficiency when we don't have that contact. But some of it's because possibly I should slow down a little bit, but don't encourage them to tell me that.
It is interesting. No, that's it. I'd never thought of it like that, but I think having people around you, when we have our successes or replacements made, I do miss that buzz in the office where it's like, way, and everyone kind of celebrating, whereas now we just pick up the phone and go, guess what, and it's not everyone, it's just one. So there is that is missing, but we do have a Friday night call with all the team where it's just let loose, talk about our successes for the week, try not to talk too much about work, but just have that team bonding vibe thing at the end of the week. which is really important, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've usually got a drink in our hands, and they haven't. So we do look bad every Friday, and then it's a slippery slope to Friday night.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
We have because we use Slack, we have a channel within Slack that we've literally called Nonsense, that we can just like, the stuff that you just like, oh, for God's sake, in the office, and you reel off something about a text message your husband sent you, in my case, or, what your neighbours are doing, or whatever it might be. But I have this issue where, because I'm going appointment, all of a sudden I realise there's all these notifications in that channel, and I end up reading through it like it's because there've been so many messages over it might be a couple of days before I check it, and it's like you're reading through, and honestly, it's like some of the stuff I've got like little screenshots of things that have been like snippets of conversation that I just think, this is why we need to be back together.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that balance of that stuff as well, that just when things are not going your way on that particular day, you need that stuff to kind of keep you on track and keep you in the game, really. But it's I checked it this morning, and there's like I've just pulled it up on my other screen, and it's like the first thing you see is this GIF with someone like that shaking their head, and a comment about what a bad parent Jane is. So
not really, I promise.
It's like,
we're just taking the mic.
it's all that kind of office banter stuff that just makes you stronger. And actually, when you're going through periods of growth, and there's there are challenges with that I think just really help your business to push through. But if you can then identify the little snippets within that you can share with the big wide world, then actually, again, it's, people just believe in you, and they're there for the journey. They're behind you. They're supporting you. And, they if they can't buy what you're selling, then as soon as they can find someone that will do, they're there ready to make that referral and make that introduction. And I think that's where you guys have really been able to get that right, whether it's been like the outtakes from your videos, or talking about the renovation stuff, or the new puppy, and whatever it is. It's like actually people have been allowed to know you and to be your friends during this time. And so it's like I said, people don't realise just how much that contributes to growth.
Yeah, no, I agree. It'll be interesting to see how far we can take it without doing everything that we're doing remotely. I haven't thought about the fact that we've got 10 people at the moment, and it's fine, it's manageable remotely, but how far can you take a remote business? Can you have 20, 30, 40? I don't know. All working at home? I don't know.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah. Check in again in a few months. You might be there.
Well, yeah, it's something I am mindful of, is as we progress, is this sustainable, or will it get to a point where actually we need to come together, or we need to have mini teams, whatever it might be. I don't know. We'll see. I think we'll stay open-minded about it at the moment.
We've got our first hire in London now, which is great. So might be part of the plan. Little mini office there.
Yeah.
Rich, you'll have to have a little chat with Emily, because essentially a big part of Emily's role is to bridge the gap between like us at head office, if you like, and all the people that we've always had working remotely across the business. So there are days where yes, and she's like, literally, I've been on calls all day, Christina, and all she's been doing is talking to all our remote people. And I think there's a lot of repetition in those calls, aren't there, Emily?
Yeah, sometimes there is. It depends if we've if we've planned a conversation around a specific topic, I need to have that topic with that conversation with multiple people, then I tend to sort of bulk those appointments into one day. And then, yes, I am very much repeating myself in what I'm saying, but sometimes it isn't at all. And I quite like the variety in that everyone has different problems, don't they? And everyone experiences different things. So it's interesting, and it's been interesting what you were saying about sort of onboarding people remotely and that sort of thing, because I do a lot of the training with the new mediators. So whereas before we would do that in person, obviously I'm having to adapt to certain things. So something that I have found really useful actually is recording my training sessions on Zoom. So I then put it into a Google Drive folder for them so that they can refer back to that whenever they want. So actually, that's probably, because in real life, obviously, we're not going to be recording conversations. So then they're going to come back to me and possibly ask that question again. And not that I mind that, but sometimes people like to go and find things out for themselves, don't they? So the fact that that recording is there for them to refer back to again, that's probably a benefit of onboarding online. But obviously, there are certain things that do work better in person, and it's just having to adapt and make it work as best as we can, really.
Very good.
Cool. Right, I'm conscious of time because we never let this go past the hour. Yeah, and Emily's always the first one to go no because it's lunchtime. He gets really grumpy.
Angry.
So, Rich, Hannah, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Yeah, great. Good to see you all.
My apologies if conversations have been a bit distorted from my end. It's like I've just done what I always do, which is make half of it up as I go along. But hopefully it's been an enjoyable hour for you with us.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, thank you. Good to see you all again and share our experiences with each other. Really nice. Thank you.
Put us in a lovely mood.
We have the afternoon off now.
Off to the garden centre.
Yeah, enjoy, that's what you have to do on a bank holiday weekend.
Excellent. So we're gonna close it up there. We will be back next Thursday, 12 o'clock, live again on all the usual channels. I think it's just the Green Umbrella team next week, and we'll be talking. Actually, is it, or have we got a guest?
We've got a guest.
We've got a guest.
We've got Chris Lambert joining us next week.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about cybersecurity next week. So how to protect your passwords and things like that. And I'm sure we'll have a few horror stories for us to make sure that we are locking down our internet connections and stuff. But yeah, so we'll see you next Thursday at 12. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to do a little wave at the screen because it keeps Emily happy. Screenshot for social. Can we stop waving now, Emily? Honestly, it's like we have to do as we're told. But that's it. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye.